Wide receiver Antonio Brown no longer plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's according to the team's head coach. During yesterday's game against the New York Jets, Brown took off some of his equipment and then jogged across the field and into the locker room topless. Some speculate the move was career-ending for the athlete. He has already faced several controversies, though, including rape allegations and burglary charges. The league recently suspended Brown for 3 games for allegedly misrepresenting his vaccination status. So Jonathan Jones is here to break this down, as well as some of the other big football moments from the weekend. But we're going to start right here with this story about Antonio Brown. We heard a list of things that he's accused of, behavior that's not just bad, but criminal off the field. Quitting is a bad thing, but there are much worse things than quitting a team. But we also, heard from Tom Brady, encouraging compassion. So I want to ask you, can you give us any more insight here? What are we learning? Any more details about what is happening with Antonio Brown?
Yeah, it was obviously a bizarre situation there at MetLife Stadium, something that I've never seen in my years covering the NFL. And if you speak with Antonio Brown's camp, he was injured. He had a hurt ankle. He did not want to go back in the game when the coaches wanted him back in the game. And then they said, all right, well, you're not on the team. And then he just took off his shoulder pads and left. That's Antonio Brown's side. I think after we just heard that package there from Nate, it's not that Antonio Brown's the most reliable narrator of the past 3 or 4 years of Antonio Brown's career in life. This is a guy who very recently was suspended for 3 games by the NFL for submitting a fake vaccination card, which among the litany of things that he's done on and off the field still does not rank as anywhere close to the worst of them. And that's a fake vaccination card during a global pandemic. So he was given another chance by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he went out and he embarrassed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And head coach Bruce Arians, who vouched for him, who rather than kicking him off the team after submitting and being found to have submitted that fake vaccination card, having found to have lied to the team's doctors, and to his teammates, to his coaches, decided, hey, we need him in this run to a 2nd consecutive Super Bowl. And then to leave as his team is preparing for 3rd and 7 against an inferior opponent in a game that they need to win in order to keep alive their chances of the number 1 overall seed and home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs, decided to leave and call an Uber, essentially. So just an unfortunate chapter in Antonio Brown's football career, and very likely the last chapter of that book.
So just to add to what Anne-Marie was talking about, Jonathan, I mean, all those things, the rape settlement, the allegations, remember, not only the fake vaccine card, which was, mind-blowing. He'd been suspended at one point before joining the Bucs for 8 games because he pleaded no contest to burglary and battery charges. A number of light wrist slappings from the NFL. So my question to you is, what are you hearing from the National Football League as to why this incident was the one that ended Brown's career and not all the other things that the 3 of us are talking about? What is the NFL saying about that? Bruce Arians can say what he wants, and it's great to go on TV and say he's no longer a part of this team. A lot of people are going, why was he even a part of the team at all?
Right. And those are questions that we all were certainly asking to begin with when the news first came down that Antonio Brown had confirmed to have used a fake vaccination card. I wrote a column on CBSSports.com that, hey, you guys gave him, he was on a 2-strike sort of count here with the Bucs. This is very clearly a 3rd strike. They decided to keep him because their fantastic wide receiver, Chris Godwin, had torn his ACL. They frankly needed him on the football field, and then Bruce Arians took whatever sort of narrative he needed to twist and say, well, he's been a model citizen ever since he's been here. That's not true. And so that's where we were here. As far as where the league steps in, this is obviously a team issue. And however the team wants to deal with Antonio Brown is how the team sees fit. The league probably and almost certainly would not step in here. That 8-game suspension that you referenced, that was from the league. The 3-game suspension for the fake vaccine card, that was from the league. And now it's going to be up to the collection of 31 other teams, including, the teams that he once played for, even for a game or for years in the case of the Pittsburgh Steelers, to decide if they want to bring Antonio Brown back, if he is worth the headache, as we have seen throughout sports and, frankly, throughout all of life. One who has prodigious talent will be tolerated up until a point, and will be tolerated more so than the other person who doesn't have as much talent. I would have to hope that the rest of the NFL has decided, I don't care how much talent you have, Antonio Brown, and it is Hall of Fame talent. It's not worth the trouble anymore.
All right, so let us talk actual football instead of this sideshow here. The playoffs kind of coming into focus. Several AFC teams, though, are still looking to clinch a playoff spot heading into the last week of the regular season. Which teams do you think deserve to make it?
Well, I think you have to look at the Indianapolis Colts, who had a very disappointing outcome this past week, but a team that has been very hot, who has the best running back that's currently healthy in the NFL in Jonathan Taylor, who has a great offensive line and a defense that is very opportunistic. Going into last week, they were second in the NFL in terms of takeaways, right behind the Dallas Cowboys. And so I would earmark them as one of the two teams that could make it into the AFC playoff picture. I would certainly like their chances. The other team is going to be a win and in game on Sunday Night Football between the Chargers and the Las Vegas Raiders. And this comes down to an AFC West showdown, a Raiders team that, as we know, has gone through a number of difficulties off of the field, and obviously very, very terrible scenarios. In the case of their former first-round pick, Henry Ruggs, charged with a DUI that resulted in the death of a woman. When you look at the Chargers, though, this is a team that their defense leaves a lot to be desired, but a high-flying, high-powered offense. And so that's going to be a win and in game. I like the Chargers in that game. If I have to pick two AFC teams to make it out of the ones who have not secured a playoff berth, I would certainly take the Chargers and the Colts.
All right, so the NFL also announced a series of time changes for several of next week's consequential games. Explain the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, so this is the first year. In the past, the final week of the regular season, all the games are played on Sunday. There's no Thursday night football, there's no Saturday, and no Monday night football. They want them all played on that same day, in large part so that you can get all of these playoff contending teams still contending for the playoffs, still fighting for something. And what we have seen this year is a change, and through the magic of television, right, and getting more eyeballs on the product, there are now two games on Saturday, and one of those games will be Kansas City, the Chiefs, versus the Denver Broncos. While the Denver Broncos are eliminated, the Chiefs will be playing the Broncos in hopes of maintaining their hopes of the #1 overall seed in the AFC alive. Right now, the Tennessee Titans have it, and the Titans would be playing on Sunday, but if the Chiefs win on Saturday, and they would certainly be heavily favored to win that ball game, it would then be on the Titans to win their ball game against the Houston Texans on Sunday, or else we would see a flip-flopping of 1 and 2. So the Chiefs, of course, they've been to the Super Bowl the past 2 years. If they win and the Titans lose on Sunday, we would see the Chiefs with home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs.
All right, Jonathan Jones, breaking it down for us as always. Jonathan, we appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Biggest moments from the weekend, including the story about Antonio Brown.